A little homage to my boy Cletus. I'm wearing your shirt, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, USAF99. And as we have in the past, we're working on the 2008 F250 6.4 Powerstroke. This time we're doing rocker arm assembly on both sides. We're going to do the number 7 fuel injector all the way in the back on the passenger side. And as I'll find out later on in this video, I'm going to be changing some more stuff that I didn't know I was going to be changing. Broke some stuff, stripped some stuff, found some stuff that I just didn't like, replaced it. So I'm going to cut this video into a bunch of little parts, and I'm probably going to voice over most of it because the audio, for the second time, the audio was jacked up. That microphone that I was using is crap, so the audio is going to be all over the place in this video. I apologize in advance. I will try to do my best to even it out in editing, but there's not much I can do. When you start with crap, you can't really polish it into a turd. So I also have been streaming me doing these things live to Twitch. If you go to twitch.tv/USAF99, that's where I'm streaming doing this stuff live. So you guys are more than welcome to go over there and check that out. Ring the little bell so that that's YouTube. If you follow, and I think there is a bell for notification, you can sign up for notifications when I go live, and I usually tweet it out. I have the same Twitter handle, USAF99. So yeah, I want to point out that I'm not going to go step by step. Most of you know how to get down to the valve covers. I didn't really take much video of that because it's pretty easy to get down to the valve covers. It's essentially the fuel cooler. Move some stuff out of the way, take the battery boxes out, the degas bottle out. It's not that big of a deal. Also, ladies and gentlemen, for the retort procedure, the torque procedure for the rocker arms, for the rocker arm assembly, and this will go for if you're just replacing one set of rocker arms or if you're replacing the whole assembly like I did. I'm going to leave a link down below for you guys to go check this guy's video out. His name is, well, his YouTube name is Brian's Mobile 1. I'm going to link to his video. I asked his permission. I don't know if he's okay with it or not because he didn't get back to me, but he explains it the absolute best way that it can be explained. He's got a whiteboard, dry erase markers. He shows you exactly how to do it. Instead of me trying to explain how to do it, I would rather you go and watch that video because the instructions from Ford are kind of misleading. Go watch his video. If you're watching this video because you're looking for how do I do this, go watch his video. I'm sure he'll help you out. He explains it better than I could. So I would rather you guys get good information than be confused by the way that I explain it. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Alright, boys and girls, the rocker arm assembly's done, the truck's put back together, the fuel system's bled, the coolant system's bled, everything's bled. So we're going to try to start her up and see what happens. So hang tight. And so begins the recording. So what we got to do is we got to take these 4 high pressure fuel lines off from the fuel rail to the fuel injectors. I believe it's an 11/16, I can't remember for sure, but get those off, get that high pressure fuel rail out of there, and then we can gain access to the rocker assemblies. Pretty simple. So here I'm just showing you basically taking the lines off and the method that I use for trying to catch as much fuel as I possibly can. It's okay if a little bit leaks down into your crankcase because you're going to be changing the oil anyway. Anytime you open something like this and get in there, you need to get the oil changed, change it, whatever It's okay to start it if you're going to go somewhere to have it done. You know, just don't drive it for an extended period of time. But we'll get this off here, and then I'll show you guys how I cap fuel injectors, and also the fuel rail if you're going to leave if you're going to not replace the fuel rail. You just get a zip tie like that, and then we're going to cut the fingers off of some 7mm rubber gloves, slide it over the input for the fuel injector, and then slide your zip tie over it, tighten it down. And these worked really well. They stayed there the entire time I was working on the truck, and I bumped the fuel injector several times and they never came off. Seemed like a good way to do it, and I didn't have any vacuum caps, so we'll move on. Get to this one. It's just rinse repeat for all 4 of these lines. Loosen them, drain, and there you see I'm draining fuel down into the crankcase. But get that last one off, get this one off, get them out of the way. Bada bing, bada boom. I think this one took me a little bit longer, but I eventually got it off there. The ones in the back are always the hardest. So now I'm showing you what we have to do. We need to, there's 2 bolts that hold on the high pressure fuel rail, and then there's a line from the high pressure fuel pump at the back of the head there that passes through into the valve cover area. It's the same size as the high pressure fuel lines. You need to loosen that, clean around the area, take the 2 bolts off the high pressure fuel rail, and the whole thing slides out just like I'm motioning there. So we'll clean up around that, get it out, bada bing, bada boom. Eventually the video cuts off, the battery dies, and I will cut to the other side and show you what it looks like with the fuel rail out and the rocker assemblies out. But here in a second the video is going to cut off to some text. Come on. Oh yeah, that's right. I actually show you taking the line off. Reach back there. I mean, and of course that's where the battery died. So that's what it looks like with it off. You guys can see the bolt holes where the rocker assemblies go. Alright, boys and girls, I'm going to try to do this without any kind of stabilization on the camera, because I just can't fit the tripod in here. But so we did the, oh, I keep blocking my own light. We did the fuel harness here for the fuel injectors. It just, there's little C-clips that it clips onto the fuel rail, which we replaced. It's that rail right there. We replaced the rocker arm assemblies, which are underneath here and torqued. They basically look like blades, I guess, would be the easiest way to describe them, and I'm going to fall down. There's 2 bolts on the rocker arms. You start with the ones inboard. Oh, I'm going to fall. You start with the ones inboard or closest to the turbos, and then you torque the ones closest to the exhaust second. So like I told you guys, and I've mentioned it several times, Brian's Mobile One has one hell of a video on the torque sequence, but I'll give you a brief synopsis of how you do this. So you go down to the crank pulley. There's 4 bolts in the crank pulley. There's no center bolt. There's 4 bolts, and you'll see a little roll pin hole with a roll pin in it. What you want to do is you want to put that roll pin at 1030 as you're looking back at the truck. So if you're standing in front of the truck looking at the engine, you want to put it at 1030, which is basically, the bolts make a plus sign. So you want the bolts up and down, you know, straight up and down, and then the other 2 straight across. That'll put that roll pin at 1030. Then you're going to check the number 3 cylinder to see if the intake valve is up, or the number 8 cylinder to see if the intake valve is up. If the number 3 intake cylinder is up, you do the ends, which is 1 or 2, 8, 1, and 7. You'll torque the top bolt to 45 foot-pounds, and then after you get done with that, you'll go down and torque the intake bolt, which is the one towards the exhaust, to 45 foot-pounds. Then you rotate your crank 360 degrees clockwise. Normal rotation of the motor. You rotate that motor all the way around to where you put it exactly where it was. So you'll put the roll pin hole back at 1030 with the bolts straight up and down and straight across. And then you're going to come back here and check, and if you just did the number 3, or if the number 3 was just up, I guarantee you the number 8's going to be up now. So then you do the inside rockers. You'll do 4 and 6 and 3 and 5. Torque the ones towards the turbo first, then the ones down towards the exhaust, all to 45 foot-pounds. That's basically a brief synopsis of how this works. Okay, so like I said, go check out Brian's Mobile One's video. He explains it much better. It's much easier to understand. I just kind of spit it out real quick. So that's how you do the rocker arms. Okay guys, so it's easier for me to get the camera in here to show you guys, so I'm going to show you guys on this side. We actually replaced the number 7 fuel injector, but I'm going to show you on the number 2 here how to do it. So the hold down bolt is right here. It's a T45 Torx. You'll take the high pressure line off. You'll take the high pressure line off, this sucker right here, and undo the connector the way I showed you previously in the video. With your, you can either spend the $200 to $300 on the tool, or you can use this $12 pair of panel clip pliers. You're gonna, what did I just drop? Whatever. Pull the connector off, and you're gonna loosen that bolt. And what that bolt's gonna do is it's gonna get loose real quick. You'll be able to thread it out by hand, and then it's going to get tight again. What it's doing is that bolt is using the hold down to pull the injector straight out, which you want to do because you don't want to be trying to pull at an angle or anything like that. So back that out with your Torx bit and your wrench until it gets, you know, loose, and then you'll be able to pull the injector straight out. Alright ladies and gentlemen, then when you go back in with it, you're going to want to, I got these in a kit. These kits had the lines in them. Okay, they're GB remanufacturing 7-009 for the 6.4 Powerstroke. It comes with the high pressure fuel line, which is already installed in there. That's all I really needed these kits for, because I didn't pull my injectors back out. And then it comes with the seal that goes on the body of the fuel injector, and it comes with the compression fitting that goes on the stinger of the fuel injector. So then it's just reversive removal, ladies and gentlemen. Reversive removal. You're gonna put the fuel injector back in the hole, push it down as far as you can. Don't put a bunch of force on it, because the hold down will actually seat it as you're putting it back in. You want to get it in there straight. I mean, we're talking about microns of tolerances here, so if you get it to start, it's in there straight. So you push it down as far as you can with the bolt and the hold down, and then you want to torque it. I believe the initial torque is like 18 inch-pounds. It's something ridiculous. You guys will have to look it up. I'll actually link in the description below. I'll link a link to a PDF that has all the torque values for this truck. It has wiring diagrams, has all kinds of stuff. It's great. I found it on the internet. God, I love the internet sometimes. But you'll use this to torque it down to 18 inch-pounds. You want to be able to spin the injector, but not clamp it. You don't want it loose, but you want to be able to spin the injector. Okay. So then you're going to lightly hand put on your tube, your high pressure fuel tube. Start both ends and get them down to where you've tightened them with your hands, and you can't tighten them with your hands anymore. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to tighten these to 106 inch-pounds with a crow's foot. So I'm not going to give you guys my torque wrench setting was 95 inch-pounds, because when you add length to a torque wrench, when you add any kind of length to a torque wrench, down the length of the torque wrench, you're changing the effective torque at the bolt or the nut or the, you know, whatever. There's a formula, which if I remember, I'll link the formula in the description below. So you measure the length of the torque wrench from the handle, center of the handle, to the center of the ratcheting part. And then you measure the crow's foot from the center of the ratcheting part to the center of the, where the nut or bolt or whatever you're turning on goes. And then that formula tells you what to set the torque wrench to, because if you let me turn around and talk to you guys. If you turn, or if you add length to the torque wrench, you're adding leverage, which is making the torque wrench inaccurate. So you have to compensate for that. So mine, for 106 inch-pounds, turned out to be 95 inch-pounds on the torque wrench, but I got 106 because I did that formula to compensate for the added length. Okay, so like I said, if I remember, I'm pretty sure I will, but if I don't, you guys ask me in the comments. I'll link that formula on how to figure out what it is. You can add extensions to a torque wrench all day long. You can put a rubber extension on a torque wrench. It's not going to click until the head of the torque wrench gets to the torque that it needs to be at. See what I'm saying? But if you lengthen the torque wrench, just like putting a cheater pipe on a breaker bar, you're adding torque to the head that you're trying to turn. Get what I'm saying? Cool. All right. She goes. The fuel trims are all erased from it being sitting for so long, and the battery's disconnected, so that's why it's not cranking right away. Normally it's rum, 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 rum. Let me check for leaks. But I streamed this whole thing on Twitch, www.twitch.tv/USAF99. You could have watched it live, instead you're watching it on a YouTube video, but that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, give me a comment, subscribe, and like, and all. You know what to do. You've been on YouTube long enough. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a wonderful evening.